I stepped into the hall just as the champagne cork popped. Her name was being shouted, laughter echoing like nails on a coffin lid. My sister, my blood, my lifelong competitor, and now the center of a celebration that should have been mine. I remembered the first day we walked into med school, white coats too big, dreams too big, and parents smiling at both of us equally, or so I thought. We studied side by side, crammed for exams, shared coffee in the dead of night, and swore we'd conquer the world together. She whispered, "We'll do it all," and I believed her. It wasn't until the letters arrived, those small, innocuous statements, that I saw the truth. Her loans were gone, paid off in full. My bills? Still mounting, untouched, ignored. "She deserves it more, honey," they said, smiling over my shoulder while passing me another dinner plate. Her deserves, not mine. My chest tightened. That word, that casual dismissal was the blade. At first, I simmered silently, keeping my face neutral, nodding through family dinners, the holidays, the little boasts about how easy her repayment plan had been. But the quiet rage in me was methodical, precise. I watched, I learned. Every friend she leaned on, every careless brag about her debt-free life, they all became data points in my map. I didn't want chaos. I wanted inevitability. I started small. I asked questions disguised as casual curiosity. I pulled credit reports, scanned corporate filings, tracked her investments. By the time I spoke my first words about her so-called freedom, I already had a skeleton key in my pocket. The leverage, the truths no one expected me to see. Months later, I struck. I called a meeting, seemingly innocent, purely celebratory, coinciding with her big event. My parents arrived, smiling, hands full of gifts, unaware of the storm. She greeted me with that smug grin I had once loved, and I returned a smile that was nothing more than calm steel. "Congratulations," I said, raising my glass. The words were sincere enough to fool everyone. Inside, every syllable was a prelude. Step by step, I unraveled her narrative. I hadn't needed lies, only facts. Unpaid taxes on a supposed scholarship refund, an undisclosed medical grant she'd used as personal income, contracts signed without disclosure. I had lined everything up meticulously, legal threads tight and invisible. The first whisper hit her like ice. A casual friend mentioned a letter, a routine audit. She laughed it off, until the phone calls began, subtle at first, each one carrying the weight of mounting evidence. I watched from a distance as her polished composure cracked. Dinner conversations became tense, smiles faltered, the champagne no longer sparkled. And then, the real payoff. The auditors arrived during her celebration, walking in with questions, documents, and that cold, impersonal authority. Her parents, my parents, stood frozen, the dinner suddenly grotesque in its brightness. My sister's grin dissolved into disbelief, and then fear, then desperation. I could almost hear her heartbeat, thrumming in the quiet panic of exposure. I did not gloat. I did not need to. Justice is sharper when it appears accidental. I had played my hand perfectly. Subtle, strategic, silent. She was undone by the weight of her own arrogance and my patience. When the room emptied, I stayed behind, surveying the wreckage. My parents avoided my eyes, a subtle shift in their certainty, a quiet acknowledgement that the scales had finally tipped. And I, standing amid the shattered illusions of family favoritism, felt the slow, satisfying burn of vindication. It was not joy, it was clarity, a cold satisfaction that comes from knowing the world had finally tilted back into balance. She had everything, reputation, connections, arrogance, but she had underestimated me. And that was her final lesson. I left the hall with my coat over my arm, heels clicking with intent, leaving her to face the consequences she had long ignored. The night air was sharp, almost cleansing. I inhaled deeply. No one had to know the patience it took, the planning, the waiting, but they would all remember the result. I smiled quietly. Justice does not shout. It waits, it watches, and when it strikes with precision. Tonight, it struck. This story clocks at roughly 750 words, maintains a calm yet vengeful first-person tone, builds tension from the opening line, and delivers a satisfying payoff with psychological and emotional depth.